David Tennant revealed his original instincts when it came to acting in Doctor Who, and the franchise would have looked very different if he'd followed them. I was on site all 4 days at Denver Fan Expo 2026, where Screen Rant was the official media partner, and I attended the incredible Thursday panel, An Evening with a Legend, David Tennant. As a massive Whovian, I was thrilled to hear the actor speak about his time on Doctor Who. He answered all kinds of fun questions. When asked, "What was your first reaction to getting cast?" he said he laughed and then asked if he could have a really long coat. When asked for a one-sentence pitch to convince complete newbies to watch Doctor Who, he said, "Alien in a box who's more human than the humans." However, one of the most surprising things he shared during the panel was that he didn't immediately say yes to playing the Doctor. David Tennant might have grown up loving Doctor Who, but he wasn't immediately sold on taking the role. His original instinct was to say no. Why David Tennant considered not taking the job as the 10th Doctor. When David Tennant was officially offered the role, Russell T. Davies told him not to immediately answer yes or no. He encouraged the actor to take some time to process and think about it. Tennant previously shared that his agent encouraged him to turn down the role. However, this is what he said about his thoughts and concerns the first few days after getting the offer. "I didn't say no, but for a couple of days, I thought, I'm not going to do this. It's too much. And also, the show hadn't been on the TV yet. So, they'd made season 1, but it hasn't been finished and broadcast. So what it was a little nebulous and a little bit hard to know whether it was something that people wanted to see. So it was a bit it felt very unreal. I had an agent at that time who said, 'You're absolutely not doing that.' Then I sort of thought, maybe it will feel like a little too much, and all of it too in your face, and a bit too limiting, maybe professionally. There were all these things to be considered. And then, I felt like that for a couple of days, and then I thought, who are you kidding? You're not going to let someone else do this. Imagine how goring that would be. And then, you'd have to be also polite and not say, 'I was offered it first.' I think I went on a bit of a journey, and then I went, 'No, I'm going to do this.' And here we are." Ultimately, his concern wasn't unreasonable, given the reasons other doctors have left Doctor Who. The thought of it being too much isn't surprising. Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor, might not have left of his own accord, but he had grown tired of the grueling schedule. It's also not unheard of for actors to be defined by a certain role, limiting their career prospects. Peter Davison, the fifth Doctor, even left Doctor Who to avoid burnout and typecasting. Plus, the show did decline at the end of Classic Who, so his agent wasn't completely wrong about that concern. Luckily, David Tennant came to his senses and took the role of the 10th Doctor. What Doctor Who might have looked like without David Tennant's 10th Doctor? There is no way to know for sure what Doctor Who would have looked like without David Tennant because we don't know who else would have taken on the role. Obviously, writers and showrunners play to the strengths of their leads, so it's possible a 10th Doctor played by someone else would be entirely different, personality-wise. If the 9th Doctor is any indication, the writers might have kept a darker tone and Doctor. Even if they cast someone energetic and charming, there's no guarantee they would have had the same banter-y dynamic with Donna Noble. Depending on the chemistry between the actors, we may not have had the love story between Rose and Ten. The epic Doctor team-up episodes between the 10th Doctor and 11th Doctor would certainly look different. Why David Tennant's 10th Doctor continues to define the Doctor Who franchise. Although many actors have taken on the role of the Doctor, David Tennant continues to define Revival Who in the same way that Tom Baker typically represents Classic Who. Tennant lasted the longest of any Revival Who Doctor actor in real-world time. His acting range allowed him to show so many different sides of the Doctor, some of which were new and others that harkened to Classic Who. Tennant nailed each and every different part of the Doctor. He brought the charm, humor, grief, fear, and melancholy. He felt so real that he could have walked off the TV screen. Ultimately, so much of what was great about early Revival Who came down during David Tennant's time as the Doctor. Christopher Eccleston might be my personal favorite, but I completely understand why Tennant's version of the character is considered the best modern Doctor. Eccleston might have jump-started the revival, but even I can admit that it really hit its groove once Tennant took over. Thankfully, David Tennant didn't follow that initial impulse to turn down the role. He truly helped make Doctor Who the international phenomenon that it is now.